Buenvenidos.
Hey guys, Chloe and Michael here, and we are talking about Mexico today. And reflecting back to our trip to Cancun back in fall 2016.
Did a side trip to one of the 7 wonders of the world, and that's what we're kind of featuring today as we try to cook some Mayan-esque food and reminisce about Cancun.
So we went to Cancun for one of my girlfriends, Leslie, and her fiance at the time, Benny's wedding. We had like a huge group. The whole wedding party came out from actually all over the United States to the Hard Rock Hotel is where we all stayed. All inclusive.
Yeah. Well, I like all inclusive, but it's absolutely dangerous because, especially with my personality type, where I feel like I paid the money for the all-inclusive, I'm gonna include everything. And
all day long.
It's great for 3 days. If you do 4 to 5, I started feeling like a little like, oof, I'm including too much in the all-inclusive. Like, I need to stop being so inclusive of all the, international buffet in my stomach of like, they got everything there.
Yeah.
There was like a hibachi grill, Japanese, there was steakhouse.
Yeah, that was so cool. I mean, all different things.
Yeah, Mexican, Chinese, Italian, there was everything.
There was, yes.
And you almost feel like you go to these giant breakfast buffet spreads and you're like, I have to have everything. Like, no, you don't have to have everything. Stop having everything.
Yeah, you do. More.
Yeah.
And then, and more.
Yeah. But I like the destination wedding theme idea.
Yes, we definitely do.
Yeah. When you got people from all over the United States coming together, it was nice for their families to come together, and especially because we were dating at the time, so it was very serious. But you're coming in, and I'm learning a lot of her friends and how they interconnect and how everyone connects. It'd be different if you just show up at a church wedding, you do the reception, and everyone splits. You barely talk to anybody and get to know them.
Right.
4 or 5 days at an all-inclusive thing, you get to talk to a lot of people and learn the families and the dynamics and make a lot of new friends. So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was very cool. I liked Michael a little bit at the end of it.
Well, but towards the end.
Kind of passed. He had
we're okay with it.
A B plus. But yeah, that was a super cool part.
So, and I like being somewhere too where it's not. There wasn't a huge urge to get out. You can basically spend a great week there in the pool, swim up bar, hitting all the restaurants, being on the beach, all the stuff they have there. We did a little scuba excursion first day or 2.
Yeah, which was so much fun. We all got onto one of just the tour boats that they have, and they took us out for, I don't know, was it maybe like an hour?
Well, it was a couple. It was several hours long, but it was probably like a 45-minute journey out, 45 minutes back.
Right.
They make it. It's Cancun, so they do make those journeys worthwhile. It is a party.
Oh yeah.
So I recommend the 45 out. Hang out with your friends, take some pictures. Party on the way back.
Right, you're snorkeling, remember?
Yeah, you're snorkeling,
You're going to be swimming and,
yeah. But the cool thing is, out in these locations, they have beautiful dive locations. They have a perfect depth where the water is crystal clear, and they have sunken statues where some artist did a bunch of statues and placed them on the bottom, and so you can kind of dive to them and play around,
Yeah, and there was a really cool arch that they had that I could not. But Michael was like, oh, I'll swim down and swim right through that. And I was like, what? I was like, no. And he, no joke, went all the way down. And I'm watching as I'm like bobbing on the top of the water. And I'm watching, and he, no joke, went all the way down through the arch and then back up. And I want to say it was like 30 feet.
It was fairly deep.
It was at least 20, for sure.
Oh, no, it was way. But that was me trying to show off a little bit because we're dating and like
30.
Women love a man that can dive deep in the water for reasons I don't know. But no, I did like the challenge. Like our tour guide was like, oh, so people were able to like swim through that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try to dive deep enough to swim through it.
He was like, okay, I can do that. I'm like, what? Hold on.
So I absolutely, I think I told you this. I absolutely probably punctured a little bit. I got a pinhole. Something in one of my eardrums where I busted my eardrum. I didn't equalize the pressure
He did it
quick
quick.
enough. Yeah, I did it quick, and I didn't stop to equalize
So
pressure.
you have to you gotta slow on your way up, and he was just like down and up, and I'm good to go. And I was like, how did you?
Yeah, but on the way back, like on the boat, when we got back on the boat, I'm like, oh, there's definitely something wrong with my ear.
Don't show off to women.
Yeah, do not. Yeah, that's what happens. You're like, look how cool I am. And you're like, no, you're not. Like nature's like, no, you're dumb for having done that. And it bothered me the rest of the week. Like I kind of had a little bit of a, so don't take on too much.
But it was so
I just had to
cool.
Yeah, it looks so cool. She's like, this guy's the one. I'm looking for a man that can swim through underwater arches because that means something.
Even if he punctures his ear.
Yeah, you can blow an eardrum, it's fine.
Totally fine.
It healed just fine, pretty quick, but it was annoying. It was an annoying pain for a while.
Yeah.
But the tour group had it figured out, and I knew they provided me medicine in the form of like a margarita or two on the way back, and you're like,
Rager.
Matt, now I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
So
that was super
yeah.
fun.
So if you visit Cancun, if you don't do, you absolutely have to do the little scuba diving excursion to all the underwater statues and stuff. See if you can swim through the little underwater arch they have. It's a blast.
Maybe.
Slowly. Idiots.
And then throughout the time that we were there, it was so cool in the sense that, you know, you have your own room and you go do your own thing, but then when you're like, okay, I'm gonna go out and just go hang by the pool and all that stuff, which majority of us did.
Yeah.
We just ran into everyone. It was just like, oh, hey, what are you doing? Oh, we're gonna go grab lunch. Okay, we're at the pool. We'll see you in like 20 minutes. And it was just, we kind of took over the hotel for the weekend, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a great idea by them for like the destination.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wedding itself was great, and
so pretty.
Yeah, it was so pretty. It's right on the beach. Yeah, it was amazing.
Vinny looked beautiful.
A handsome gentleman, to be sure.
Everyone looked gorgeous. Yeah, it was so fun.
Yeah, and it was the perfect amount of time where like some stuff, like if you drag it on for 2 hours with soliloquies and speeches by everyone, it can become painful. Theirs was the perfect amount of time. Like in my memory, it was probably longer than this, but it seemed like 10 to 15 minutes. Where like
it was great.
It was out with fireworks.
Yeah, you got all the important, emotional, great memory stuff done, and then it was like straight to the point. Love ya. Let's be together forever. Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah.
And then on to partying and having a good time.
Yeah. And then a great reception. They did a really good job all around. And then the other kicker to the weekend was our friend Steve and Abby. And they cleared that with the bride and groom beforehand. They're like, we don't want to. Like, oh no. And they're like, we'd be honored if you guys did it at our wedding. Like, and it wasn't during the wedding. It was a couple days later, or a day or two later.
Yeah. And they both caught the bouquet and
the garter.
The garter. And so it was like, oh my! And we pretty much all of us knew that this was going to happen, and we were all like, you know.
I still don't know how Vinny and Leslie worked that out to like get them. There was definitely shenanigans going on the bouquet toss and the garter to work because they knew ahead of time. It was a plan. I'm convinced.
Then I should have known this because I didn't get it, and I was like.
I have bigger plans for you.
Yeah, and then Michael's like, do not throw it to her.
Here's $50.
But yeah, that was so cool. And so they did the whole walk on the beach, and then we all got together and like a whole big group of us just waiting.
Because everyone knew, and Steve worked it out and let people know, but like, hey, all of us were so giddy about it that we wanted to see, so everyone's clustering. Everyone's trying to push back, like, she can't look over and be on a walk on the beach with her boyfriend and see like 50 people crack, like, hey, what's going on, you guys? And so everyone had to like kind of hang out, and then he did the one on the beach, and then we could have stuff as she came back.
Yeah.
Kind of people came out.
Such a romantic, but also like fun party time weekend.
Yeah.
It was so cool, and it just like that hotel was like perfect for all of it.
Yeah. it was so perfect that we, at the end of it, I think we had 4 days there, and it was my job where I could kind of pick my own time to work. It was a very nice time in the Navy. And at the end of it, we're like, let's scoot it back a day. We'll just stay an extra.
Yeah. And Abby and Steve were staying an extra day, and we were like,
we're going to hang out and celebrate with them. Yeah.
We're going to stay another day.
Yeah.
So.
But we decided to insert between that a trip to one of the 7 wonders of the world. Chloe's done a couple of them.
I've done.
It was my first of the modern wonders of the world. So what?
Oh, it was. Yeah, you haven't been there.
I don't.
Poor guy.
I'm a wonder of the world. I don't need.
Of course you
So
are.
the-
Of course you are.
Yeah, you're adorable. So it's the quiz question. Can you list the 7 wonders of the world? There's different lists, but the modern.
Of course I
wonders,
can.
yeah.
Of course I can. Because this is one of my little bucket list items.
Yep.
So you've got Christ the Redeemer.
Yep.
Have not been.
No.
Great Wall of China.
No.
Have not been.
No, have not been.
Machu Picchu.
Have not been.
Have not been.
No.
Man, we gotta get to South America.
Yep.
Petra and Jordan.
Petra. Yep.
Have not been.
No.
But the 3 I have are Taj Mahal in
Yep.
India, and I've been to the Colosseum in Rome, and then obviously Chichen Itza in Cancun-ish, Mexico.
Yeah. 2.5 hours outside of Cancun, but Chichen Itza.
Chichen Itza.
Yeah.
Chichen Itza.
Chichen Itza. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool. I was like, I really want to go because, like I said, that's one of my bucket list things.
Yep.
And Michael loves history, and we were like, well, we'll get away, and it's like we'll offer up to the group, but no one wanted to join. They wanted to stay, hang out by the pool, and party.
Which is totally understandable because if you're paying for an all-inclusive thing and you're like, I'm gonna be gone for the day,
Agreed.
you're missed out on the
You're like, wait,
full
what?
day of hitting all those restaurants and the swim up bar
To the
and all that
max,
stuff.
remember, to the max.
Yeah.
Get everything. Yeah, the bus ride out there was about 2 hours or so.
2.5, but it's longer because they and they have this rigged. It's when you do this, there's not going to be a company that doesn't do it because they have this down to a science where they're going to stop at 2 places, and it's going to be a little tourist trappy. You have to expect that. The drive is a little boring. When you get out, you can see how these people live. Where a couple, hundreds, thousands of years ago, it was kind of 20-foot high scrub brush. It looks like some parts of Texas. It looks pretty flat. Fairly inhospitable, but you can make a living out there. We had 2 really nice stops, though. It's a tourist thing where they have a deal with these places to unload a couple buses of tourists every single day, and you drop off and you look at
cool souvenirs.
Yeah, little souvenirs, but the places they took us were pretty nice.
Yeah.
I enjoyed walking around, and it's nice to stretch your leg. Then you get back on the bus, you go for a little bit, and they drop you off for some authentic Mayan food, which is what we're going to try to recreate today. It was a buffet setup. To me, it wasn't super memorable, but you have a tour guide there that talks you through everything and gets on the mic on the bus and announces, kind of walks you through a little bit of Mayan history, what you're going to go see. We went through how they do the calendars, astronomy and everything, and kind of takes you through basically his culture that he grew up with and what the Mayans came from and what they are today. So that's what we're trying to recreate with a little bit of kind of an adopted mole thing that we're going to do.
Right. Michael loves mole.
I love mole. We're not going to do a standard mole where it's like a chocolate thing with it. We're going to try to do a very standard Mayan dish. But there are a few changes that they wouldn't have had in the pre-Columbian era. We brought chickens across. They would have had turkey, but I don't want to cook a whole turkey for 2. That would be ridiculous.
No.
So we're going to chop up a chicken, smoke that a little bit. They wouldn't have had garlic and onion. That's something Europeans brought, and curiously enough, they would have had tomatoes. The Europeans brought back tomatoes, so all the Italian stuff is from the New World. And they would have had roasted peppers. Yeah. All the stuff that was not a thing in Italy before they came to What is
In Italy,
today?
they never had tomatoes before they came.
I don't
to the
believe so.
world.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they would have had pumpkins. Probably not.
Seeds.
Yeah. So we got pumpkin seeds and chilies. We got a bunch of dried chilies. Other things we're gonna throw in here is cinnamon. They wouldn't have had cinnamon, but we're gonna throw cinnamon in there. Some dried chilies. We're gonna grind those up, and cumin, and allspice, and some cloves are in there as well. So we're gonna try to make a little mole, top it with some pickled onions.
What is that?
That is yellow water or chicken stock.
Yellow water.
They would have had turkey stock, so we're substituting, and then black beans, as you can identify. So,
What are these?
sesame seeds. We're
Okay.
gonna see what we can make out of this and how Mayan Authentico we can go. We are gonna try Mayan Hot Chocolate. So chocolate came from the Mayans. They had,
did?
yeah, that's where it originated from. It was the cocoa bean.
Look at these guys. They got everything.
Yeah.
The good stuff. Tomatoes
Yeah.
and chocolate.
But we're gonna see if it's the good stuff because when they had it, it was not the sugary concoction we know today with like kind of cocoa butter and sugar. It was basically ground cocoa nibs, and you put water in it and some chili spice, and I think they had some honey to kind of like sweeten it up. That's what we'll try to do with ours to get like kind of some natural sweetness to it. But it was a fairly bitter, spicy drink, but it was reserved for fairly well-off royal family members, so I'm feeling very royal today. So we'll try to make that
Clearly for us.
and see how it comes out. It may not be a winner, we don't know.
So we've never made any of this
Yeah.
stuff, and so hopefully it tastes good. We'll
Yeah.
let you know at the end.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
step
Okay.
one is we are going to char some stuff, so we need to set the broiler. So I'm gonna use this size, like kind of 2 tomato, probably 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, if you wanna help me out with that, and just half an onion. So we'll start chopping that stuff up, throw it in a pan under the broiler, and see what happens. Get a little char on there. All right, while Chloe's doing that, what I'm gonna do is set a light. Boil 1 cup of chicken broth. Yeah, and so we're gonna have that chicken stock come up to like a very low simmer. And I'm throwing in 1 chipotle pepper. You can find it in cans in the grocery store, just as like in adobo sauce. Let's put some garlic, tomatoes, onions in here. We'll add a little olive oil and toss. So that gets nice and coated. You want to keep those garlic cloves whole, otherwise it'll absolutely burn under the high temperature of that broiler. In the meantime, we have some chicken stock that we're trying to bring up to temperature as it slowly starts to simmer. Turn that heat down in 1. Beautiful chipotle pepper. A little adobo sauce is going to go in there. And it's just going to take a nice little refreshing time in that hot tub. Alright, next step is we're going to take these dried chili peppers. These are mild dried hatch chilies. You can find all kinds of stuff, but what we're going to do is to chop the top off and de-seed these. And as Chloe discovered a little bit, when you're doing this, you probably don't want to touch your face too much. It will be an unpleasant experience. Well, I mean,
Don't do it.
if you're into that thing. So the things we're gonna roast are, these chilies are gonna roast a little bit. I like a little bit of blistering on them. Peanuts, sunflower seeds, cinnamon, cumin, allspice, and cloves. Some sear on that and throw it all together. See what happens. All right. Putting a little olive oil in a pan. All over the place, really.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be
Michael!
fine.
I just cleaned.
Chloe will clean that up later. We're gonna wait for that to get hot and
I'll tell
then
you guys.
we're gonna do this in stages. The chilies are gonna go in, we're gonna cook that. We're gonna brown some pumpkin seeds, peanuts, and then our spices. You have to be very vigilant with this stuff because it will go from roasting to burnt like that. So be very careful with it. A couple minutes at most. Oh! Come back here. Oh God. So that one got charred.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Michael. Oh, look at, you're not kidding. It gets charred quick.
Yeah. It gets charred really quickly. So now we're taking these guys out of there.
Don't try this at home.
Do not try this at home. It's very dangerous. Pumpkin seeds getting charred. Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Popping lets you know it's working. All right.
Scaring me.
Woo! Pumpkin seeds out. Peanuts going in. Peanuts will take a little bit longer than the pumpkin seeds. But I think that should be pretty good for them. You can see they're starting to get brown. Those guys are going to go in and join the party. And last but not least, our spices. Really quickly.
Guys.
It
Smell-o-vision. So
yeah,
good.
it smells so good. Now we're gonna bring everything together, and the way the Mayans would have done it is a giant rock bowl, mortar and pestle, and you just grind it all day. We're
Good
going
on
to
them.
use an
Good on
ancient
them.
Mayan technique of an industrial strength blender. I think this is what they used. The Mayans invented this, but electricity didn't come along for another couple hundred years, so it became problematic because you couldn't plug it in. So that's what we're gonna do now. We're gonna blend everything.
We're totally not doing this by hand.
Yeah, we're not spending all day grinding stuff with a mortar and pestle.
But if you would like to do it the old-fashioned way, by all means.
Go nuts. Go nuts and let this.
But we're gonna use the Vitamix.
Let's see what happens. I think that's right on. That's what I was looking for.
We ended up adding 3/4 cup.
Yeah, 3/4 cup of chicken stock to it, or chicken broth.
Yeah, just a little bit more, so it could get a little more liquidy stirring motion.
Yeah.
And actually, the consistency is perfect. This is the little, I don't even know what this is called, but the sticker down wand thing.
I would call it a tamper. So now what we're gonna do is butcher the chicken.
Okay.
I'm gonna chill that because I don't want to cook the chicken in it, and I'm gonna marinate the chicken in that.
Because this is hot.
It's very hot. That needs to go in the fridge. You want to butcher it, or you want me to? She does not do raw chicken. So we're gonna have to clean the board afterwards,
I
but
do, but it's,
you know,
it's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot.
Michael's good at it.
Yeah,
You're
we're gonna-
so good at it.
Yeah, that's see what you want to do, women. You want to provide compliments to your man for things that you're like,
You're the best.
You're so good at fixing the car and taking out the garbage. Yeah, we're gonna butcher the chicken, obviously. Breast on top here. We're gonna use the legs.
Like how you're just patting the breast.
Yeah. Patting the chicken breast. What you're gonna do is simply slice along. You can feel the keel bone in the middle. Slice as deeply as you can get on that. And then come over right under the wing here. You're gonna feel another area you just slice into around the leg. You're gonna take that whole breast right off. Skin and all. And you have a nice little chicken breast. You're gonna flip it over on the back side. You're gonna take these legs, spread them out, and break them backwards. And you're gonna hear kind of a sickening crunch.
That's not gross at all.
It's not, yeah. So Chloe's face says it all. You can feel, if you reach under, you can feel those joints coming out of their sockets. It'll pop right out. And that is a nice little chicken leg cut that you can make on either side. Actually, I'm gonna do it on this side. It's a little easier to see with the skin. You're gonna cut in You're gonna let the blade feel around for that joint. You're gonna cut around the joint and just take a leg off. We'll pull that fat off later, but now you got a nice chicken leg. And same thing with this guy.
Ta-da!
All right, we've got our cut up chicken, and we're just gonna dump our sauce right in there and let those flavors blend for a bit.
Michael.
I made a mess. We're gonna fix this. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna do the legs first. Give them a 30-minute head start because there's a lot of bone density in there. Try to reach in and flip over these guys that we've had going for a bit. And we'll start the chicken breast. A lot of sauce on that. All right, we'll let that smoke on down. Go the easy way with the rice. In the meantime, we're gonna do some black beans.
Super excited. I'm hungry. So right now what we are cooking is going to be the hot chocolate. 1 full tablespoon of cinnamon. 6 cups of water. We're gonna wait to have this reduced down to about 5 cups with just the water and the cinnamon in alone. Stay tuned.
That is about a half cup of chocolate. We probably need a little more. We're gonna play around with the taste.
And you're talking about cocoa powder.
That is cocoa powder. It is unsweetened. So it's gonna go in there, and then we're also gonna do, ideally you would try to do vanilla bean in this, which we don't have.
So we have vanilla extract.
So half tablespoon, maybe full tablespoon of vanilla extract in there. The Mayans would have had access to honey. We're gonna do about 3 tablespoons of honey in there. Just try to sweeten it up a little bit. And then it does need chili in it to make it a little authentic. Some fresh chilies. Supposed to be the drink of royalty, we'll see.
I'll be the judge of that. All we're gonna do is a little quick toast on some corn tortillas to add to the side of the dish.
As always with a hot stove, the hand is the best implement to use. Burning flesh will let you know it's cooked. Let's see if the chicken's ready. So we got some rice. I'm gonna go with the chicken leg. I know Chloe is not a fan of that. I think you're gonna go with the chicken breast. It's a little hot, so I'm gonna do this. See if you like that.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Well,
Holy
hey.
moly!
Exactly.
Ah, touche me.
Yeah.
So real quick, Michael pickled his own onions. Yes, he is that amazing.
Well, they weren't my onions; they were grocery store onions. But yes.
Well, yes, this is true. We don't have a garden yet.
Things I liked about Chichen Itza, I really liked. It was interesting going there because it was a time lapse back into several hundred years ago, and all the stuff that I did not know about the Mayans and how alert they were to astronomy and knowing all that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Chichen Itza itself is an amazing place to go around. The center castle or cathedral itself is pretty amazing if you go there.
Yeah.
It's a
Beautiful.
it's a 4-sided pyramid, and the interesting thing is they used to let people up. They don't let anyone up anymore because apparently someone fell and dive. So they don't do that
know.
anymore. But the interesting thing was that it's a 4-sided pyramid. There's 91 steps on each side. So 91 times 4. So that is supposed to reflect the 4 seasons. 91 times 4 gets you to 364. And there's a little like room or area at the top, which is supposed to add 365. So they realized really quickly, hey, it takes 365 days to get around the sun. That's how our seasons work. So they had a side of the pyramid for each season.
Yeah.
It was a number of steps for every day in that season. And they did this as fairly, what we'd recognize now as a fairly primitive lifestyle, and figured it out. And they would have the larger blocks on the side would form a snake that was one of their gods. Mm-hmm. That at certain times of the year, the autumnal and spring equinoxes, it would form the shape of a serpent up the side, and their idea was the serpent would slide down and die under the ground and be reborn into a new spring. So it was very interesting in how they set up stuff, and to imagine ourselves as ancient people just hauling blocks and figuring out 91 steps,
Oh my gosh.
4 sides, and
Yeah.
everything on this top was pretty amazing. And they had a clapping thing too.
What do you call it?
The echo, the weird echo they had. I don't know.
Audio. What is that called? It's like a, when you're in an auditorium. It's not an auditorium. It's a.
I don't know. It figured out audio focal points way early, and the Greeks did this too in some of their amphitheaters where you could bounce off. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amphitheater.
But it made a
But it's
reverse
not shaped
amphitheater.
It's not shaped like an amphitheater. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So continue.
Yeah. So you could stand somewhere and give a lecture, and so they would have us do it. Tourists would like stand in a certain location where the focal point was and clap, and you would hear this bouncing off thing. It was a really interesting echo, but you could see how.
You're way.
Yeah.
Away. You could hear it just right.
Yeah. Pre-Columbian people, if you wanted to give a speech, you could stand there in the field, be really loud, and it would bounce back to a large group of people that would hear it way more than you could just yell. So it's interesting how they built this and how their social structure was. So I like echoing that with that and food and the little memories of Cancun.
Yeah. And I like their Mayan game, which was a whole
Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing.
We won't get into that, but look it up. It is a very interesting and very challenging game that they would play back in the day with the ball and a
high stakes soccer.
Intense, and I don't know how anyone ever won that game, but it was there as well. So, anyways, Mayan Hot Chocolate.
Never tried it before.
Never tried it before, and it is also very hot. So we'll see how much I can actually.
Yeah. Hot in temperature, hot in a little chili taste. Yeah, I could see how Mayan royals would have liked this. It's nothing amazing for us, but if you're a Mayan royal, yeah.
It's
a little watery.
Yeah, it's not creamy, obviously. No. There you can definitely taste the chili.
Yeah.
It is cocoa-y.
Yep.
Cocoa-y?
Yep.
Is that a thing? Cocoa-y?
Yeah, it's not something I would have on the regular. But it's interesting
but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's
interesting
it's drinkable.
Yeah, it's drinkable. It's interesting to see a drink that people would have had something roughly approximate to this over 1,000 years ago. Would be your bomb.com drink, your Starbucks.
Sure.
Yeah,
and it does have a kick to it. It definitely holds on to it.
To
its taste buds.
Yeah. You're gonna feel that
for a while.
Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of flavor in it.
But yeah, let's try this deliciousness. I'm gonna do a little bean, little everything.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try the chicken.
Are you?
Mm-hmm. I think that's spot on.
Really good. Really good. You're kind of missing out without getting everything else.
I mean, Later, mix everything together.
And I can't wait to top it on top of the
Corn tortilla or
corn tortillas.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
if you want to be authentic, you gotta do corn because they didn't have flour at the time. They did have corn.
Exactly. Authentico.
Yeah. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed our little travel to Mexico.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Again, like, subscribe, hit the alert bell, or salud.
Yeah. Whew, it burns. Now we're just gonna eat now.
We're just going to dig in. So, salud.